morning and welcome to the Treehouse. This is Kag with the View from Above Tarot reading for Sunday, October 6th. Yesterday we were talking about our personal relationship with ourselves, with our higher selves. And as a result of making any kind of commitment to move forward with self-care, my guess is that that's going to kick up a number of anxieties about that. And I would say that when we start to think about ourselves, we do start to worry sometimes. And so what I want to do this morning is to kind of address the idea, the fact that we will always have worries and anxieties. That is part of being a human being. And one of the ways that we keep from being concerned about ourselves is to be concerned about other people. And that can really lead to over control of other people. We have to think about ourselves as well. But sometimes when we're thinking about ourselves, that's what kicks up the anxiety. So I thought this morning we would do a little bit different reading rather than the reflective reading, that we would do what would be most helpful for us to know about our anxieties. What would be most helpful for us to think, and what would be most helpful for us to do about those anxieties. Because they are a fact of life, like bees at a picnic, which was the way that we talked about eventualities when my children were small. So I have already shuffled and I'm ready to lay the cards out here. Remember that this is a collective reading, so take what resonates for you and leave the rest. And we are going to look at anxieties and what we need to know about our anxieties. What would be helpful for us to think about our anxiety, and what would be helpful for us to do about our anxieties, and Merriweather card. So I'm going to do each of the triads in the entirety before I move on. So let's look at what do we need to know about our anxieties. And what's interesting to me is I have shuffled deeply, and now we have two cards from yesterday, which is interesting to me. So what do we need to know about our anxieties? First of all, we have to know that we have a good, solid foundation. We know how to get help when we need it. And sometimes we just have to remember to tell ourselves there is help available if we wish to make use of it. And so whether that's talking to a friend, or it's talking to a family member, or maybe it is seeking advice of a doctor or a therapist or clergy, whoever, remember that we have people in our lives who can really help us. And we have to be, with the Queen of Wands here, she's action oriented. And so she's going to go get help. If she thinks she needs help, she's going to go get it. And so this is what we need to know. We are starting on this journey anew, and that was the focus card from yesterday. This is a new place when we start to think about how we're going to take care of ourselves. And we need to have a good foundation. We need help in order to build it, but we have to do something about it. It's not going to come to us. We have to go get it. We have to jump off our cliff and move into this self-care place. And if we have anxieties about whatever, we have to take an active role in trying to address those. So good job for us to jump off. But this is what we need to know today, is that help is available, but we may have to go get it ourselves. And that might be a new place for us to go get help. Because a lot of times we think that asking for help admits that we are weak. And if that was a message from your family of origin, I hope that you can set that aside. It is not weak to get help. It is weak to pretend we don't need it. Okay, so what would be helpful for us to think today? And another card from yesterday. And we are looking at thinking about what we are investing in. We've sent those ships out. We're waiting for them to come back in the harbor, and we are waiting. We are waiting for them patiently. And the reason that we sent them out to begin with was because we wanted to live reasonably happily ever after. And our anxieties, there's really not much we can do about those ships that are out there. We've sent them out there. And it is difficult to be patient, right? And one of the downsides of the Six of Cups is that if we have been raised to take care of whatever problems there are in our family, this is an old pattern. And sometimes we try to fix things when they ought not to be fixed. And so in order to get to our happily ever after, we still have to be patient. So this is what our thinking needs to be around letting things be, not trying to fix it if that was the pattern from your childhood. And sometimes while we are being anxious about or worrying about something, we have to go back to our inner child to say, okay, I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling upset. What is going to calm me down? What were the things that I learned in my previous life that helped me to soothe myself? Many of us were not taught how to soothe ourselves, and so we found other ways to manage anxiety, whether it is eating cookies, which was one of my strategies, was eating cookies. Or it was doing things that maybe weren't as supportive as they might be. And so that really gets in the way of our reasonably happily ever after. So we need to think about what it is that when we get anxious, what is it that will soothe us? What is it that is it taking a walk? Is it taking a nap? Is it drawing? What is it? But a lot of times as we are grown-ups, we forget about the things that make us happy in the moment, where we can really exit the bigger frame of where our minds are, where all the worries are and all the tasks are, to go back to that place where we can really be present. And so this card is reminding us, the Six of Cups is reminding us that our inner child has that wisdom that can bring to bear on the anxieties that are present while we're waiting for these anxieties to go away. And the truth is, anxieties are never going to go away. And so we have to find a way to get to our happily ever after, our reasonably happily ever after, in the midst of what anxieties are out there. Again, they are like bees at a picnic. They are just going to be present. And we have to find a healthy way to soothe our way through them. So what would be helpful for us to do? And what we're given here is the Five of Cups, the Page of Cups, and the Devil. So we've gotten a lot of cups here. 1, 2, 3, 4 cups here. And so in the do arena, what is it that we need to do when we are anxious? So the first thing to do when we are anxious is to admit that we are anxious. As soon as we can say, yep, I'm anxious about this, and this is what's bothering me, and this is what's bothering me, and this is what's bothering me, there they are, and write them down. Because as soon as they are on paper, we don't have to keep thinking about them. So that is one of the first things to do, is to write it down. I think that it was my father who, when he would wake up in the middle of the night and worry, he finally figured out how to get his pen and paper out and to write the stuff down that he was worried about so he could go back to sleep. And I think that that's a good strategy. And when I have been able to write down what's bothering me, first of all, I have to be able to articulate what's bothering me. So I need to know what those cups are all about, and then to write them down. And to remember that we still got good stuff going on, right? And that we need to use those emotional cups to soothe ourselves, because we're thinking about this over here. And to remember that in the midst of our anxiety, there's always the possibility of surprise, right? We can't know everything that's going to happen. And so just to be open to whatever surprise is out there. If we are so anxiety-ridden, we cannot be open to anything new coming in. So that's part of these cups over here. Take those cups and go over the bridge after you've written those down, and be open to whatever surprises might be coming. And we'll look at this page's message in a second. But I want to just really address the devil here. We are in the do triad here, and the devil is the kinds of behavior that doesn't serve us. This is the overeating, right? This is the smoking or the drinking or whatever it is that doesn't really help us with the anxiety. So the devil is warning us that we don't have to do that kind of behavior. We can take those chains off and do something else, especially if we write this down. And so the devil is, if we always do what we've always done, we will always get what we've always gotten. And so let's change this way of thinking. Let's write it down and let's pledge ourselves to be open while we wait for all of this anxiety to resolve itself, because those ships aren't in the harbor yet. And all we are doing is really torturing ourselves twice. If we're worrying that those ships aren't going to come in now, well, we're also going to worry about it when they don't come in. So let's be grounded. He's grounded here as he's looking out at the ships. He's also grounded, but he's only looking at the bad stuff. So write it down so that you can let it go. So I'm going to leave the Merriweather card right here, and I'm going to just shuffle one time for the message from our page today. And dealing with anxiety is again, like I've said twice now, it's part of being human. And the page is telling us that, like the devil, our overthinking or our overanalysis of whatever this is can be removed if we will just take action to set it aside in whatever way that is. If the anxiety is coming from something that you haven't taken care of that you can take care of, well, take care of it, right? Kick those swords down, take those wrappings off and the blindfolds off, and do what needs to be done. And if it is just about writing it down so you're not thinking about it right away, that will be helpful as well. So these cards are really similar. This is Major Arcana and this is Minor Arcana. And what I'm seeing now is that we have a full contingent of energies here. We've got the Queen of Wands who will get it done. If we need help, we will get it done. And for the Cups, we've got a hope for our happily ever after. We've got the wisdom of our inner child, and we've got the openness to whatever is coming. And with the emotions of what hasn't gone well, we still have the Two Cups, that things can be positive. And we've also got the Three Pentacles foundation here and the Swords, which is logic and clarity if we'll just take that blindfold off. So let's look at Merriweather. And as Merriweather talks about anxiety, wow, this is a lot of cups. The Seven of Cups is the cup of being confused. And so our anxieties can confuse us, and they can also distract us from where it is that we want to go. And so just to be aware that when you are feeling anxious, this is going to distract you and keep you from going where it is that you want to go. And so take whatever steps are necessary to get a harness on that distraction. So whether it is talking to someone here, expansion cards where, or thinking about the fact that, yes, you are always going to be anxious and finding some way to self-soothe yourself, or writing it down so that you can continue with the rest of your trip over the bridge, that's going to be really important. But that is the message from Merriweather, is that anxiety is distracting us from getting the stuff done that we really want to get done. So do whatever is necessary to, I don't want to say control the anxiety as much as manage it. And there are better ways to manage it than to just really wring our hands over all of this. So think about what is best for you as far as managing your anxiety, and do that. Because if we always do what we've always done, we will always get what we've always gotten. So that's what I have for us today here at the Treehouse. I hope this was helpful, and if it was, please like, share, and subscribe. And I invite you to come back again tomorrow, which will be Monday, and we will look at a reading around our work life. Blessings.